Welcome to the Friendly Podcast Guide, sorting through podcasts so you don't have to. I'm Andy Smiley, and I want to help you discover the right podcast without having to listen to an entire episode. Now, let's talk podcasts. Hey there, and welcome back. Joel and Matt are the hosts of this week's podcast called How to Money. These two best friends make money understandable, and they do it while drinking a beer. What's more casual and unscary than that? Here are some details about the show. The show description is, best friends Joel and Matt are the co-hosts of How to Money, which is all about providing the knowledge and tools that normal folks need to thrive in areas like debt payoff, DIY investing, and crucial money tricks that will provide continuous help along your journey. We believe that access to unbiased and jargon-free personal finance guidance is more necessary than ever before. When you handle your money in a purposeful, thoughtful way that works for your lifestyle, you can really start living a rich life. The length of each episode is 30 to 45 minutes long. It is kid ear friendly, and the series is ongoing with new episodes available Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Before we learn more about the vibe of the show, we're going to take a quick break to talk about Olive and June nail polish. I love having nail polish on. Right now, I have this fabulous yellow that just brings me so much joy every time I look at my nails. But right now, I do not have the time or really the money to get my nails done in a salon as often as I want them done. That is where Olive and June comes in. I use their Mani system, and my nail polish will stay on for a week with no chipping. It brings me so much joy every time I look at my nails with these fun colors, and I want you to have that joy too. You can get 20% off a Mani or Pedi system by using the affiliate link in the show notes. Now we get to hear from Joel about why he loves podcasting with his best friend. Today, we get to talk to Joel Larsgaard from How to Money, and I am very excited to talk to him. I have listened to this podcast for quite a long time, and I am very excited to actually see Joel and talk to him in person.
Well, I'm glad to be here, Andy. Thank you so much for having me.
Can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So, my name is Joel, and I host a personal finance podcast. I do it with my best friend, Matt, and I got to say, the best way to start a podcast is to do it with your best buddy, because it's kind of just like hanging out while you're talking about one of your favorite subjects. And that's literally kind of how our podcast got started. I had been in the money media space for like almost 15 years. And my buddy Matt had started his own company. And when we got together, we like often talked about money, investing, real estate, stuff like that, just kind of like stuff that we were interested in. And usually while we were drinking a craft beer while we were doing it, and we're like, can we like turn that into a podcast? And of course you can. And so we did like 4.5 years ago. And yeah, we've been just trying to help people with their money and provide like inspiration and good, helpful, money saving content ever since.
That is amazing. I feel like that would be fun to start a podcast with my best friend. Yeah. I need to get on that. I can start 2 podcasts, right?
Completely. You can do it. You don't have 3 kids running around. You can do it.
Right. Maybe in a couple of years. I'll table that for now. Okay. So you talked about inspiring people. Can you dive a little bit deeper into what you want people to get out of your podcast?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think there is just a huge dearth of financial literacy in this country. So many people have we didn't really hear about it from our parents growing up. For most of us, right? Most of us, we look back and we're like, my parents maybe taught me a lot of good things, but they never told me what a Roth IRA or a 401k was, or what compounding interest was. Like, they never touched on that stuff growing up. I might be a virtuous person now, but I don't know how to grow my money. And so, parents are great for a lot of things. Most of them not great for teaching money. Same with, our growing up in the schools. That is not something that we get taught, or if we do, maybe it's not taught well, because the teacher who was assigned to the class just isn't passionate about it or didn't have enough knowledge. And so even though it is required in more and more states across the country, it's one of those things where there are a lot of people not getting enough information about something that literally affects our lives every single day. And so, it's our goal to help people become more financially literate, become more confident with their money. The whole reason that we're doing, we want them to just be empowered to make better decisions with the money that comes into their lives, and find ways, hopefully, to make more and to grow the money that comes in too.
That's awesome. And Kay, you touched on having a beer. Do you have a beer every episode?
Every episode except for our Friday episodes. Yeah. Because that one we call the Friday Flight, which is like a sampling of news stories. So we don't drink a beer on Fridays, but that's our like timely newsy sort of stuff. Like what happened that week in money and how those news stories pertain to your personal finances. So for instance, if, there's a war over in Europe, like there is currently in the Ukraine, sadly, that has impacts on our personal finances. And so we try to touch on how, you can respond to like those changing elements.
Cool. So because you're drinking beer, except for on Fridays,
yep,
I would consider it like a more laid back feel, but still informative. How would you describe the vibe of your show? Yeah,
I'd say down to earth, relaxed, jargon free. I think that was one of the things we're trying to avoid in the personal finance world. The thing that's the most off-putting is people that talk to you like all the terms already, and you're like, but I don't. I actually might need a dictionary while I'm listening to your podcast. And so we want it to be a place where you can get actionable advice that you can use like today, but stuff that we can describe to you in a way that's not off-putting, that actually makes sense. Because I just think there's so many people out there who have a good heart, but maybe they're not the most effective communicator, or and especially when you're talking about a place where there's such a barrier between the financial knowledge that people have and the financial knowledge that they need. How do you help people get there? It's going to take like some handholding and like some talking to people in a way that they understand. So that's kind of like one of our main goals.
Definitely. That's awesome. Especially the jargon-free part. I feel like most people can understand something if you say it in words that they know, right?
Yep.
That's
and
awesome.
It's amazing because even when we talk about something as simple as like opening up a specific type of retirement account, we'll get emails and people will be like, I opened the account, now what? And so you have to like talk to people about, there's multiple steps along the way in some of these things that sound simple if you've been doing it long enough. And you have to remember that your listener doesn't know as much as you do, of course. And then they might need even more additional information, even when you're revisiting a topic. So we try to be cognizant of that.
That's awesome, because I feel like even if I do know something, maybe I've forgotten, or maybe I just need a refresher. So I'm glad that you're cognizant of that. So I know this is really hard, but do you have a favorite episode or couple? Because narrowing it down, I'm sure, is really hard.
Sure. So I will say it's hard to pick just one. But my favorite, we have interview episodes. We have those Friday episodes where we talk about new stuff. But I think my favorite episodes that we do are listener question episodes. And that's good. We only do them every 2 weeks, but we get 5 listener questions in there. And I think there's just something really fun about answering specific questions, because I love talking about like personal finance theories and giving people general advice. When you get to give people specific advice for their particular situation, it's kind of, I don't know, it's more interesting because personal finance does have a lot of nuance in it. And there's a certain amount, general advice can go 90% of the way, but then there's a certain selection, like 10% of it really does need to be personalized. And so it's kind of fun to get to give that like personalized, individualized advice on some of those episodes. So it's just a category of episode, but those are my favorite.
Definitely. Well, that makes sense. And I feel like it's probably fun to be able to connect with your audience in a different way.
Yeah.
Rather than just talking at them, they get to talk back for a second.
For sure. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to touch on that we didn't talk about yet?
Let's see. I don't think so. No, but if anybody wants money advice and needs money advice, which I think so many of us do, like we'd be honored if you'd come check out our show.
Definitely. And where can people find you?
Yeah. So any podcatcher where you're listening to this podcast, you can just type in How to Money. You'll find us. Hit the subscribe button so you get all those episodes. And you can, go to our website too, howtomoney.com. And we try to write helpful content there too that just kind of like gives even more information for people and a different way to consume it as well.
Perfect. Okay. I will make sure to link that in the show notes so that people can just click it and head right to it. And if I'm really on the ball, I will try to do the latest listener questions episode that you do.
Thank you.
We'll see how on the ball I am. But if not, then people can find it in their feed. Thank you so much, Joel. This has been such a delight.
Of course. I'm happy to do it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to hear about more podcasts, please follow or subscribe on your podcast app of choice. If you want fabulous nails without going to the salon, you can use my link in the show notes to get 20% off a mani or pedi system from Olive & June. Talk to you soon.